This is Gemara Baba Kama Daf Kof Beis, and we're holding on the top line of Kof Beis Amar Aleph. We just finished saying that Stam Eitzim Lahasaka Hein Oimdin, and we begin today with a bit of a sidebar Shemitah sugya. As we mentioned in the previous year, that when you have eitzim, when you have wood with a little bit of shemen on it, what is the status of that wood with regard to Shemitah? So we begin today with Amar Rav Kahana ve'eitzim lahasaka tanahi. That top line that we just began with, that stam eitzim is used for what? Lahatzaka, for fueling a fire, and not for what? And not for a light. What is the usage of wood in general? Is it for firewood or is it for lighting up the area? So says Rav Kahano, this din in general is a machlokes Tanoim de Tanya, as you learned in our brayso, again, the second line of Kov Beis Amud Aleph. Ein moisrim beirish shvius. You're not allowed to give over peiros of shvius loy lemishra v'loy lekibusa, not to be put in the soaking pool. This is by the flax, by the laundry matziv, v'loy lekvusa, not in the laundry pool. Rav Yosi Omer noised peiros shvius l'teicha mishra l'teicha kvusa. So what exactly is this machlokes where you're allowed to put the peiros of Shemitah? Says the Gemara, my time of the Rabbanan, what is the reason that the Rabbanan do not allow the peiros to be placed within the Mishra, within the Kvusa, these different pools of water used to soak flax, used to laundry clothing? Amar Kra, because says the Torah, La'achla. The Torah says with regard to peiros shvius that what are peiros shvius to be used for? La'achla, consumption. V'loy le'mishra, not to soak. La'achla, v'loy le'kvusa, but not for the laundry. Rav Yosi Amar Omer Kra lachem, lachem l'kol tzarechechem, for all your usages. Says the Gemara, and again, as we always call it, the classical Gemara game of ping pong. Wait, so what does Rav Yosi do? What does the Rabbanan do? What does each one do with each other's pasuk? V'Rabbanan nami yaksiv lachem. Answers the Gemara, lachem dumya de la'achla. Yes, it is for you, but it has to only be utilized in the mannerism in which it is similar to eating. B'mish hana'asanu bi'uran shaveh. Key words like we saw in the previous year, that the hana, the benefit that you're getting, is at the time of the bi'urai, at the time of its consumption, when it is being destroyed, when it is being ruined, when it is being lost. That is the time that you need to get the benefit from it. And from here we say, says the Gemara, Yatzra Mishra Kavusa Shana Asan is Achar Kvisa. The Hana is only after. Why? Because when you put the flax into the wine to soak, the wine is not able to be used. At a later point, the laundry gets cleaned, and then you got benefits from this item. But the moment that the laundry goes in, the moment that the peiros, the yayin, etc., being utilized, at that moment you're not getting benefits. Again, in a simple contrast, you normally take the peri, you normally take the yayin and you drink it. So at the moment of the consumption, of course, is the moment of the benefit. But over here it is not, and that is the problem. Rav Yosi Nami asked the Gemara, Ksiv la'achla. Amr Lacha responds, Rav Yosi, Humi Baile, Lech Letanya, about 12 lines down. The first one line is Lech Letanya. Says Rav Yosi, I need that for the following brayso. Tanya Lachla, says Rav Yosi, V'loi, not like the Rabbanan learns, Leila Misha, Leila Kavusa, but rather, V'loi Lemelugma, not to use it as plaster. How do you know which way to go? How do you know that the drasha is teaching me not to use it for a plaster? Maybe it's as the Rabbanan thought, it's teaching me not to use it for kavusa, not to use it for laundry. Uksheoimer, says the Gemara when the pasuk says lochem hare kavusa ramani mekayim lachla. What's the extra word that the Torah says for consumption? It is la'acha v'lo limalugman. The classical kasha. We have two ways to go. One is excluded, one is included. And how do you know? Says the Gemara, my rois. How do you see fit? How do you know which one is being included, which one is being excluded? The rabbi says that kvusa to include the laundry. Lahaitias amalugma. Says the Gemara, Marabini is that kvusa sheshave bechol adam. Kavusa has a maila because it is something which is equal by all people. Whereas umaytza aniyas malugma she'enai shaveh bechol adam does not utilize by all people. Now, what's this malugma? We said it's a plaster. It's a type of refuah, something that they would do to heal, whether it's heal themselves, whether it's for if someone has a wound, etc. But says the Gemara, it is not shaveh b'chol adam, and that is how the machlokes of stam eitzim la'asaka, whether that is true. The Gemara plays out. It's indeed a machlokes whether we say that you need to have that critical ingredient, that the hana, that the bi'ara, the moment of consumption is the moment of benefit or not. We conclude part A with the Gemara teaching us, come on, Azla Hadatanya. Who does the following price that go like that says only for eating and not for this medicinal plaster, the achla not to sprinkle it, which is a type of drink that makes you throw up. Keman, Kirav Yosidi, Kirabanan, Ikinami, Mishach, Vusas, other things that the Bryce should have listed. So clearly the Bryce is going with the opinion of the Chachamim. Samak in the middle of the Amid at the two dots, we quote the next segment of the Mishnah. Rav Yehuda Omer teaches Rav Yehuda on the Mishnah that ima shevach, if the benefit, if the improvement exceeds the dying, says the Gemara. Let's understand what is going on regarding evaluating how you have to pay back for the wool, the dye that was used to improve the wool, etc. So Yosef, Rav Yosef, Achayre, Rav Abba, Rav Yosef is sitting behind Rav Abba, Kami Rav Huna, Yosef Rav Huna, V'Kam, Halacha Rav Yeshua ben Karch, Halacha Rav Yehuda. That's what he said. The halacha is like Rav Yeshua ben Karcha, and as well as like Rav Yehuda. What is Rav Yeshua ben Karcha? Meaning which halacha? We'll see in a moment. Ajin Rav Yosef Lape, Rav Yosef turned away his face. Rav Yosef showing he's not happy with the halacha that's just been quoted from Rav Huna. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Why? He's talking that the Chamini Yachad Ram Lacha Kirabim. Kamash Malan. So the Chiddush is Lacha Kiyachid Rav Yeshua ben Karcha. Very good. But says the Gemara, Mai, what exact Kamash Lacha Kiyachid, period. Rav Yeshua ben Karcha, Mai, the Gemara interjects, says, what's this Rav Yeshua ben Karcha that we're talking about? If we have a document that's a halva document alone, you cannot collect from that. Now this is talking about, if we take a peek at Rashi for a moment, yes, Rashi, about 10 lines in the bottom, Rashi fills us in. Malva b'shtari nefraim mehem from the Goyim. Why? Lifnei idehem, says Rashi. We're talking specifically before their festivals, before the non-Jewish holidays. Why? Mipnei shesimcha hi loy. Because the Goyim are happy at the moment. And then they're going to go to their avodah zara, their idols on the day of their holidays, and say thank you. And that's why you're not allowed to take payment from them at such a time. Rabbanan hold it's always ulcer. So back to the Gemara of Shubin Karchaimer Malva B'Shari Nefraim Mehen Milval Peh is yes Nefraim Mehem. Why? They should come out miyadam because a Milval Peh you have no way of really to collect. So the fact that it's a holiday the next day, if they're willing to pay, you take the money in any scenario, because if not, you're going to lose the money. Says the Gemara, that's halach like Yeshua ben Karcha. Alachik Rav Yehuda Lamali. But the second statement that was repeated in the name of Rav Huna was that we paskin like Rav Yehuda. Says, why do we need to know that? Machlekes v'achach. It is a machlekes which was then codified in a Mishnah as a stam. Machlekes v'achach stam. What is the rule? Halachik is stam. So why do you have to teach me the halachas like Rav Yehuda? Now the Gemara fills us in again on the missing details. Machlekes b'Baba Kama. Where's the machlekes? Our Mishnah. Let's say the wrong die was used. Rabbi Meir Oimer. Nice l'demei samroi. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer. No. Let's see. You pay the lower amount. And my yitzia you say l'shvach. Let's say shach. Stam b'Baba. So here in Baba Kama we have a machlekes. We'll see in Mirz Hashem. We'll get to Bava Metzia. We'll see that over there's a Stam Mishnah that says, Kol HaMishana. Anyone who deviates, anyone who changes from that which he's supposed to do, Yada Al Tachtaina. Just like Rav Yehuda, that since the worker messed up, he gets the bottom of the deal. So says the Gemara, so why do Rav Huna have to teach me that we're going with Rav Yehuda? It's obvious, because it's a machlekes v'achakach stam. Says the Gemara, Rav Huna Yitzrich. No, he had to teach us. Sal kadei techamina, 3 lines in the wide lines. I would have thought in Seder leMishnah is no order in the Mishnah. It's because it's different Mesechtais. How do you necessarily know that this is called a stam v'achach machlekes v'achach stam v'stam v'achach machlekesi? And therefore, because there's no order, you might have thought it's the other way. That is the reason why Rav Yehuda has to teach us halacha to Rav Yehuda. For Rav Yosef responds, Yachi kol machlekes v'achach stam neima. Ain't say it Mishnah. Maybe it's always the other way. And therefore Rav Yosef says, no, there is a order. Rav Huna, what does he respond? If it's in one mesechta, I will betray mesechta is amrinan. When it's 2 different mesechta, he says Rav Huna, that's when we have to be wary of the order. One mesechta in achanami, I'll give in to you. One mesechta we say yesh seder lemishnah, and therefore you could say that the order of the mesechta is machlokes v'achach stam, and therefore I prove that's the psak. But in 2 mesechtas, no. Rav Yosef kulan ezikin. Chada mesechta. He says Rav Yosef, no, but our case breaks the rules. Because our case is Bava Kama of Metzia, and all the entirety of Nezikin is one Mesechta, Bava Kama, Bava Metzia, Bava Basra. Viva Yisema concludes this part of the Gemara, Mishadiktani, like Abi Hilchasa, Psikta, Kol Meshani Yoda al Tachtoin, V'chla Chayzer Bay, Yoda al Tachtoina. And that's why Rav Yosef felt Rav Huna didn't have to teach us to be a pasuk like Rav Yehuda. Because once it's taught in such a clear cut, in such a halachic manner, with the rule, that's why it's clear that that is the halacha. And the last line of Kavbez Amarav Tanur Abana Noisein Mois L'Sholchai. Someone gives money to a shliach, as we turn over to Kavbez Amabez. Why did he give money to the shliach? Likach loichitim, to buy him wheat, and guess what? Barley. Siren, he gave him money to buy barley. So what do we do? The guy messed up. He was supposed to buy item A, and he bought item B. He's supposed to buy wheat, he bought barley, or vice versa. So what do we do? Says the Gemara 2 lines down. Tanya Chada, one Brisa learns in Bichazai, Bichazaloi. V'moitira, yoitira loi. He says one Brisa. If it went down in value, the agent, the shliach, is one that loses because he bought the wrong item. If it went up, then he gains. If you look at the tab Rashi keys us in that you're buying this lemechsis schar. You're not buying this as food. If you're buying it as food, the Gemara make no sense. It says Rashi, you're buying this as an investment. So now, if it went down, it's his problem. If it went up, it's his problem. Tanya Chada, another brisa says no. They split the benefit. So says the Gemara, what do? We have a steer and brises. Is it that he concurs the losses and the gains, or is it split? Amar Rav Yochanan, 5 lines down. Lo kasha harameir harav Yehuda. Our machlokes harameir the mishinei kaineh. The shinei is kaineh, and therefore whether up or down, the worker was kaineh. Harav Yehuda the mishinei einay kaineh. Mas, give Rav Elazar, ask Rav Elazar, how do you know that what you're saying is accurate? Dilmad, can come Rav Meir. Maybe Rav Meir only says his din al b'midi. The chazi leile gufe. Rav Meir only said his din with an item that the owner is going to use. But maybe this case, because it's an investment, maybe we don't say that a shinoi would be kind of this case. Lo Yamar. El Amar Rav Elazar, you're right. Hava HaRameir. So how do you answer up if both Rameir but the prices seem to be or contradict each other? V'loi kasha kan laschila v'kan l'schayr. That specific differentiation that you said, that is the difference in the brisa. The first brisa is where you're going to eat it, whereas the second brisa where it's bought for business. Machiku Allah b'marava. They pointed, they laughed upon him in Eretz Yisrael. L'Rav Yechon, Aliba de Rav Yehuda. V'chemi oidiu lebal chitin sheyikne chitin lebal ma'ois. And they said, I don't understand. V'chemi oidiu lebal chitin sheyikne chitin lebal ma'ois. Who told the seller that he should transfer the wheat to the owner so that he has a guinea, not to the shliach? Meaning, when this guy showed up to purchase the stuff, no one said, by the way, I'm purchasing on behalf of this other guy. No, he just purchased it straight. So how could you potentially tell me, like you just said, how can you tell me that the owner is the one that might have been kaina? Clearly, it's not true, because no one told anyone who's he buying it on behalf. Says the Gemara, Kasha number 1. Maskef la Rav Shmuel bar Kar Sasriti. He has further, if it's true that there's no way for the seller to know he's selling it to the owner, why are you telling me a case that he went to buy chitin, he bought sayrin, he bought chitin? If the critical nekuda is that you can't know without him saying that it's going back to the original owner, it shouldn't even be working that way if it's the exact same item. So if it's the item you were sent to, then you're doing your shlichos. So then automatically, when I buy it, I'm buying it on him. Yad shliach, yad balabayis. Whereas, if not, it doesn't work. Balabayis, dummy, and he's considered like the balabayis. That's why chitin works. If it's the wrong item, then the only way to transfer back to the original owner would be with das, which we do not have. Says the Gemara, Teda, I'll bring you a right. Whether one sanctified his possessions, whether one pledged his value to the Beis Hamikdash, ein Eloi biksos ishtoi. The Beis Hamikdash does not have the right in his wife's clothing. Meaning, if Reuven says, "I'm giving you all my properties to Beis Hamikdash or to my value," the Beis Hamikdash cannot come and take his wife's clothing. Not his kids' clothing. Not the clothing that he dyed for his wife or his children. Nor the new shoes he bought for his wife and kids. That's what the Brisa says. The hektish, the gizbar, cannot take these items. Seemingly why? Because they belong to the wife and kids of himself. But ask the Gemara, why is this true? When this guy bought the new shoes for his wife, or bought the clothing for his wife, did the store owner know that he's giving it to him for his wife? Of course not. He just bought it for himself. So how are you telling me it goes so far that his wife owns it, so much so that if the husband went and gave it to Beis Hamikdash, it wouldn't work? Can't say that. Elalav, what must we say? He did a shlichus dami. And in Lamaisa, he's considered like Yad Ishtoi. Hachanami, Shlichusek Ha'aved, Uchayad, Balabayis, Dami, and he's considered like the hand of the Balabayis. Amar Rav Abba comes from Rav Abba and he's not happy. Like, if it's a different reason, says Rav Abba. You know why? Because it's Tali and Das. What did you have in mind when you were makdish your stuff? Says Rav Abba, not your wife and kids' clothing, and that's the reason why the kids bar cannot collect it. Maskala Rav Zera, really? Is one's das on his own tefillin? Of course not. Utnan, and yeah, we learned to the Mishnah makdish chasav ma'ilin lo tefillin. So it's obviously not Tali and Das. If his tefillin to go to the Beis Hamikdash, and that certainly was not in his das. Amrle Abaya in, it's true. Daita shalal tefillin. No, his das is to give the tefillin. Hamakdish, the chas of someone who makes holy his property, savar thinks, mitzvah kavod, v'indai shal adam, mitzvah kavod. He thinks he's doing a mitzvah, and that's the reason why he includes even his tefillin. Whereas v'indai shal adam, al ksus ishta yobana misham, avaks, he doesn't want to cause a fight between his wife and kids. Finally, masler Rav Aisha al chayavin erchin shanukan. But they taught in the Mishnah, one who has to pay erchin, one has to pay his value. Utinan chayavi erchin memashkinin oisai. We take a mashkin from him. V'chidaita shaladam al atzmai lemashkinai. Again, if everything is about the das, then how are you going to say that? Because does someone really want to give his own items as a mashkin? El Amar Rav Abba, first white line, Abba, El Amar Rav Abba, call Hamakja Chazav Nasa Kimi, Shehekna Lehen Ksos Ishta Yubanav, Mei Karat, as if he transferred his wife's kids' clothing to the Beis Hamikdash originally. That's the reason why it would be potentially be included in his statement. Stop over here. We'll pick it up from Tanur Rabbanan the next year. B'siyata Tishmaya.